August 7th, 2024. We're on Chapter 13, second series today.
2024,
with John J. Jeckovich, reading his book, Their Mother's Sons. And that title of this chapter is Renee, Tripe, and Etampes. Renee, Tripe, and Etampes. And this is briefly talking about Mr. John Jeckovich just left a Paris hospital. He's about 30 miles north of Paris for a couple weeks for rest and rehabilitation before they ship him to the front lines at the Battle of Bulge. And he still has bandaged legs and bandaged shoulder. But during this time, even though he's 30 miles away from Paris, he takes a bus, a train, and a taxi to see an artist lady that's his friend called Renee. And so, before I can read, I need the dog tag number. What's your dog tag?
What's the nice high five?
Okay. Did you want to read or want me to read?
You read.
Okay. After a while, Renee brought the painting to me. It was true likeness of me. She captured the sadness in my eyes and something else, my apprehension and penetrating eyes. I took her hand and exclaimed, I liked it. You've captured my true spirit, and you have a knack for in-depth painting. Oh, by the way, this is docu-series 292, docu-series 292. She glanced at it quickly and quietly. Let's go downstairs. I'll make some hot tea. I'm cold. I have a chill. I followed her downstairs to the kitchen. It was much warmer with the large black iron stove throwing off as much heat and comfort. I asked if I might bring in some more firewood for the stove as I did not see any about. She agreed and gave me directions to the wood pile was located. It was cold and damp, and I entered the side of the yard besides the house. I located the pile of the wood and stacked the bundle into my arm, taking as much as I could carry. As I reached the kitchen, Renee had already made the tea and had set out a plate of small tarts and biscuits. I unloaded the wood near the stove and inserted several pieces in the front opening, and then rinsed my hands at the sink. How did you rinse your hands at the sink? How does the sink operate?
The sink? You pump it. You got to pump it, yeah.
All cold water?
All cold water. Well water, yeah.
Was the well water of a good enough quality to drink?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So it was a good drinking water?
Yeah, well, it was down probably 50, 60 feet.
Okay. Came out ice cold?
Yeah, probably ice cold too, yeah.
I sat at the table waiting for Renee to pour the tea. I noticed that she got unusually quiet, something I've not seen in her before. As she poured the tea, she had almost became extremely quiet in her behavior, and it distressed me to see her this way. I took her hand, looked up at her, and exclaimed, what is it? I never seen you like this. And if it was no change of subject, she forced and asked almost in a whisper, did you like the painting? Did you like the painting?
Yeah.
Where is that painting?
Well, it was wrapped up in the towel, but I don't know where the hell it went to.
It's a mystery what happened to it.
Yeah, shit, like everything else.
I replied quickly, yes, very much so. I think it's great. It's very professional. So she was a top-of-the-line artist.
Yeah.
Top of the line.
Yeah.
With that, she perked up a little and took a sip of tea. I was still disturbed. I've never seen her act in such a manner, and was thankful that it was early so I could be with her. What is it? I asked again, a bit of frustration in my voice as I peered at her sitting there. She moved about slightly in her chair, and it was apparent that there's something troubling her. I could see it in her face. She got up, went into the parlor, and returned shortly with a large album. Bringing her chair next to mine, she slid the tea and the tarts aside and laid the album before us on the table.
What's she lay on the table?
A photo album she wants to show you.
Oh.
A photo album. She opened it to the page, which revealed a photo of people I've seen in the parlor. She explained that they were her mother and father and quickly turned the page. Were her mother and father a younger couple?
Well,
How'd they appear to you?
they were 50, 60 years old.
Were they dressed nice?
Well, I mean, they were in top of the line fashion, no.
Were they an attractive couple?
Well, at 50, 60 years old, yeah.
So you were saying anyone 50 years old has got some
Huh?
got some looks problem. I like that. I like that. The next photo was a large one of two young men I had seen on a table in a parlor. Renee said that they were her brothers. I could see that she was becoming more distraught, as it must be painful to show them. I imagined that they were all deceased, but said nothing, as I did not want to add to her already disheartening task. She looked at me, holding back the tears of remorse welling up inside of her. I tried to console her, but she brushed aside my gesture and mused quietly, "Let me finish, I must tell." With that, she flipped the page on the album, and it was a photograph of a young woman in a white habit, a nun habit, a novice in a religious order who was preparing to take the vows. Was it a full habit?
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I look closely at the photo, stand by.
Yeah.
As I look closely at the photo, I was looking at a photo of Renee. I was startled, but not altogether dismayed. The parlor had forewarned me of the little idiosyncrasies she displayed and alerted me to the fact that she was not your average French woman. She looked at me in anticipation, seeking a reaction in my eyes to what I've just seen. I got up, drew her up, and put both arms about her and hugged her tightly. Neither one of us spoke, but just stood there embraced, seeking solace in another. After a time, I released her, and all her anxieties and ruefulness were gone from her face. In that place was a tearful, smiling, beautiful woman. Tears were rolling down her cheeks. She was eager for my acceptance and once again in control of her destiny. There was much I wanted to ask, but dismissed the thought that could wait for a better time. "Let's go for a walk. The cold air will refresh us," I suggested, thinking a change of scenery would do us both much good. I slipped on my field jacket, and Renee put on her short jacket and kerchief. The night air was cold, and it felt good. As we walked, I held her hand, and we both smiled at one another. She knew that I accepted her role of the religious service and whatever developed out of it in the future. I was happy for her, even though as it was not in my mind for both of us. We walked for several blocks, enjoying the crowded sidewalks. Even in the partial blackout, the chatter of the people scurrying about. We came to Rue Saint-Jacques, almost to the outer banks of the Rhine River. Ahead of us on our right was a quaint little structure. It was a church of Saint Severin. Renee asked if we might go in for just a minute. As we entered the quietness of the church, Renee walked up the altar rail, knelt down and bowed her head in prayer. At that moment, I knew I had lost her, that I would never have a life with her. She was dedicated to a higher being. As we both knelt at the altar, I resolved never to tell Renee of my desire to be with her for all the time. In a way, I think she knew my true feelings, and tonight was expressing them to each other. In a little while, we'd go our separate journeys through life, knowing full well of our missed opportunities. The church interior reminded me of Renee's parlor, which is the same peacefulness, serenity, sanctity to it all. After several minutes, Renee got up and took my hand. We walked a short aisle to the outdoors. It was dark outside and the air had turned colder. Renee took my arm and turned to me and smiled. For the first time I realized I no longer thought she was mysterious. We walked further along the Rue Saint-Jacques until we came upon a brick building emitting much music and laughter. The small sign over the basement entrance read Le Petit Auditorium. It was a controversial converted Latin quarters bistro in a cramped basement sections with a pleasant bar and recorded music. We took a table near the bar and Renee ordered a pork sandwich and a carafe of wine. We enjoyed the music and the antics of the people patronizing the bar. It was good to see Renee smiling again, and I wondered how much longer she could endure this indecision in her life and not return to the monastic existence. I knew for certain that she would, and it was one of the few things I was really sure of becoming resolved. I knew I had felt pains of disappointment and frustrations of learning of Renee's Nova-type existence since I had only come to grips with my own decision. Once again, I came to the brink of a new life. Minutes?
17.
Only to have it snatched away from me at the last moment. We would have been good for each other, but not it all was academic. Now it all was academic, and we would never know. We would never know.
You want a candy, John?
No.
Oh, okay.
We sat there for an hour or so, enjoying each other's company and the music. It was crowded to dance. Besides, I did not feel up to it. I just wanted to be with Renee. We talked about many things, but she never asked me about my family or even anything about me. She also mentioned her time as a novice, and I did not pursue it. I felt in due time she would relate to me her experiences if she wished to share them with me. It was 2,200 hours, and I'd have to leave soon as we got to Renee's house. If I was to catch the last metro to Etampes, tonight she declined the taxi ride and wanted to walk instead. She held my arm and I put my hand in hers, and we discussed what we would do the next several days. She wanted to take me sightseeing and do some cooking for me, and to start a full oil painting of me. I chuckled and added to our list, spend time at home chatting. I sounded good to me once again since the desolation crept into my thoughts. This would end shortly as it always did, but this time it was more certain and indisputable. There were no returning minutes?
15.
There was no returning as I was afforded the opportunity with Anne and Jean. These last days would have to last a lifetime, and thereafter we'd all recede to the place in the mind where the experiences become memories. Will you be all right here alone?" I asked as we reached a large oaken door. She smiled and said softly, "Of course, it's my home." I embraced her and kissed her and whispered, "I'll see you tomorrow."
You'll see her tomorrow.
She warned and receptive, and I did not want to leave. I kissed her again.
14 minutes.
I kissed her again, and she sighed something in French. She murmured, "Go, you'll miss your train." As she hugged and kissed me tenderly, I held her for a moment and then let her go. She quickly left. She quickly left my arms and hurried into the house. I hailed a taxi as we drove to the train station. A deep sense of isolation and despair came over me. It was back to where I started before entering the service. For just Renee was certain to re-enter the religious order, I too had the same certainty and would return home, provided I survived the next several months, and picked up where I left off, to be the sole benefactor for the entire family, with everyone's wishes and desires being foremost, and mine being regarded as insignificant at all times. Suddenly, there was nothing, no Renee, or Anne, or Jean. I destroyed all my bridges to a fuller life. All I had to look forward to were several days with Renee, and then total desolation, and a sense of futility and hopelessness. What had started out as a ray of hope and fulfillment had been rudely shattered into 1,000 pieces with no chance of recovery. I welcomed combat, to lose myself in its death and destruction. I arrived at the hospital a little before sign-in time, and a lieutenant on duty informed me that I had some mail. I took the letters to the day room as the lights were out in the ward. There were 2 letters apiece from Anne and Jean, and one from home. I opened the letter from home first, and it was dated a little after Christmas. Mother mentioned that Steve was home for the holidays, and that he was snowbound on a train coming from North Carolina. That's a lot easier than your.
Yeah.
He's snowbound on a train in North Carolina.
Yeah.
They had
I
a nice,
remember that.
yeah. They had a nice Christmas, but it was cold and snowing. She mentioned that Lookie was somewhere in the Pacific, and he could not make it home for the holidays. She mentioned in closing getting a telegram from the War Department and assumed everything was all right, as she did not hear from them again. She wanted to know when I was coming home, as she was tired of starting up the furnace on the cold mornings. So, in your mother's letter, you were recuperating,
Yeah.
and your mother wants to know, when the hell are you coming home? Because she's tired of starting up the furnace on cold mornings. There was a frost on the windows most of the day, and it was getting harder to find wood and coal for the furnace. She was also walking to work on these cold days with nobody to pick her up after work. Okay, that is the end of chapter 13, Renee, Tripe, and Etampes. And now I'm going to hop over to, if I can find it, we're going to hop over to chapter 14 and continue on the same second segment. And chapter 14 is on page 385. There's 900 pages to the book, so there's a hell of a lot of reading ahead of us. And chapter 14 is titled Catacombs and Revoir. Catacombs and Revoir. Sally also found it difficult getting up on these cold mornings, than having to walk to school in the cold. Mother closed by saying that Steve was not much help around the house and he was gone most of the time. She ended by saying that Steve would be going back to North Carolina after the new year. That must have been a hell of a place to be during World War II.
Yeah.
North Carolina, where you're in Germany, front line, fighting for the snow, death all around you. Boy, that was a cushy job.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah, he was in school.
No, North Carolina, he was in the service. What did he do in the service?
Who?
Your brother Steve.
What did he do? He got, eventually he got teaching recruits how to ride Jeeps.
Was he some type of expert driver?
Nah. Just got that job as a courtesy.
Then why did he get that job like that? Well, you're in the dirt, you're in the snow, you're in the filth.
He's not worried about that. What's he worried about that? He was in school all that time. He missed a lot of the part of going overseas. He was drafted or nothing. I was drafted in 1933. I was gone.
I folded the letter, inserted it back in the envelope, and commenced to tear it up into pieces. Did you tear it up in pieces?
Yeah.
I then threw it into the fireplace and watched it shrivel up into a blackened gray ash. Why did you mostly tear it up? What was the problem? Because of the Steve?
What?
Did you tear it up because Steve was in North Carolina and you were in Germany?
No, Steve was that Steve was like that. He didn't care about nobody.
He what?
He didn't care about nobody.
Things would never change at home, and I did not understand why I was so compelled to return there.
7.
You had his buddy Jimmy Duncan.
Yeah. What happened to him?
I don't know. I don't think he was drafted either. He worked for the newspaper.
So he didn't go into the war.
He didn't work for the newspaper selling writing. He worked where they printed it. Niagara Falls Gazette.
Where was that at? 3rd Street?
Yeah.
Was that?
He worked in the middle where they printed the paper.
Was that a big newspaper circulation then?
Well, I delivered Janet Wyszynski. I delivered 125 papers a week, and for the Niagara Falls Gazette, I delivered 65, 70. There was more Polacks in the neighborhood than Americans.
Were the Polacks good payers?
Yeah.
The
They
Polacks-
didn't pay. They didn't pay.
When you went to their houses to collect the money, did you smell the tripe? Did you smell the kishka? Did you smell their Polish cooking?
Oh, yeah, I got in there, taking my breath, trying to hold my breath.
Did any of your customers ask you to come in for some Polish cooking?
No, nothing, no.
Did many of your Polish customers speak English?
Oh, yeah, they spoke broken English. Most of them spoke English. Certainly they all had jobs here that they had to speak American.
But generally, they're all nice people.
Well, nice people. The immigrants come from Poland, Russia, Czechoslovakia.
Did you say one side of the street were Polish, the other side of the street was Italians?
Say what?
You said one side of the street was Polish, and the other side was Italians.
Well, it felt like that, but it was scattered. The only side would be Forest Avenue, where it was all.
Yeah, I think Forest Avenue, I think they renamed that Little Italy recently.
Yeah,
Little Italy.
that was all Italy. That was all Italian. Yeah. Forest Avenue.
So you experienced Polish cooking. Did you ever experience any real Italian cooking?
The what?
You've always experienced Polish cooking. Did you ever experience real Italian cooking when you were living at home?
Well, who would Catherine be? She would be my aunt. She made some good cooking too.
She did?
And she made spaghetti and meatballs, a lot of Italian stuff.
Was she Italian?
Huh?
Was she Italian?
No, she was my aunt. She was a Polak.
She was a Polak.
But she married an Italian guy.
Okay. What was his name? What was the Italian?
Louis Bagnazzi.
Was he a nice guy?
Yeah, little mustache.
Did he have a little mustache like Hitler?
No, yeah, it's
Was mustaches very popular when you were a boy?
oh,
Minutes.
4.
Were mustaches popular when you were a boy? Mustaches?
no,
They were?
no.
And so, that was your aunt, Catherine. What were your uncles' names?
Uncle Andy, Uncle Johnny,
How was Uncle Johnny?
negative. He come over to do something plumbing for my mother, and he's a plumber at Kimberly. That was his job. But he fumbled that all up. But I would trust Uncle Andy. I wouldn't trust him.
How was Uncle Andy?
Gruff, but gruff is good.
Did he treat you well?
Yeah. Say, huh? What'd you say? Huh? Huh? Let's go. Get in my Plymouth. Got all the tools in the back seat.
Didn't you say you fell off a roof one time and he said, what the hell are you doing down there?
I was out there taking the icicle, the spears in the roof to break up the ice coming down. The roof was slippery, and the guy, the helper that they had, I can't think of, an old guy, and he was on a scaffold soldering the gutter back up. In the middle of winter, he soldered the gutter back up. And I slipped off the roof and I went over his head and he says, Jesus Christ, get off your ass and get back to work.
Now today they'd have 14 paramedics there, 2 ambulances, 3 fire trucks, and it'd be litigation for 4 years.
Yeah.
He basically kept it simple. He said, what the hell are you doing on the ground?
Yeah.
Being that you fell off the roof,
Yeah.
and get your ass back to work.
Yeah.
Were you injured badly?
Huh?
Were you injured badly?
No, I fell in the snow.
He was lucky.
Did he even ask you if you're injured?
Huh?
Did he even ask you if you're injured?
No.
You didn't even ask.
Just get your ass back up to work.
Boy, how that be handled differently today.
Yeah.
How that be handled
You
differently.
never had that condition up. You never have that condition.
Yeah.
Some grandson would not be working with his grandfather or nothing like that.
Was it a steep sloped roof?
It was a moderate pitch, but the ice.
Ice.
It was icy and snowy up there.
And were you on the first story or the second?
On the second.
That's a hell of a fall.
Second plus the attic.
That's a hell of a fall.
Yeah.
And then when you went back up there, what did you have to do? Put tiles on the roof? What were you doing?
No, I wasn't putting tiles on. I was putting the rail breakers back, drill a hole underneath the shingle and put that breaker in so when the ice comes out, it hit that ice and break it up.
Oh, okay. Was that common practice then?
Oh yeah, because then you had those ices coming down, and if you didn't have a canopy over the door, people over the door get smacked with the stupid icicles.
Were you working with him through Croisdale's?
Who?
Were you working with Uncle Andy through Croisdale's?
Yeah, that's where I got the job when I got out of school.
1 minute and 10 seconds. 1 minute, 10 seconds.
So,
Uncle Andy didn't talk to me for a week.
really? And then
Yeah.
what happened?
He was pissed off.
Why was he pissed off?
I don't know. He said, "What the hell are you bothering me for?" Get the hell out of here. But he was the best guy. I didn't like Uncle John at all.
But Uncle Andy turned out to be a good guy and a very competent tradesman.
Yeah.
Did Uncle Andy speak with an accent?
Yeah, they all did because they talked Polish at home.
They did talk emotional minutes.
30 seconds.
Did Uncle Andy, which was your mother's brother, visit often?
No, they fight together
Fought?
about everything.
What would they fought about?
You didn't pay the last bill. Yeah, I got to pay the bill for it and all that shit.
So it was all about money.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sections?
20.
And how about Uncle Johnny? Did he visit much?
Uncle Johnny, if he seen my truck back in the driveway, he'd go by. If he didn't see the truck, he'd go out and see my mother. And he works the Kimberly too.
Oh, wow.
All right, we're wrapping